Look, there's our princess. She's got company. Oh no. Spaceballs. Screaming wow. Silence. Who dares enter the sacred and awesome presence of the everlasting Noder? Picture this. A cramped movie set. Rick Moranis sits alone with a pile of action figures. The cameras are rolling and Mel Brooks just told him to play with himself. What happens next? Pure improvised gold that becomes one of the film's most iconic scenes. Or, how about this? John Hurt, the guy who had an alien burst from his chest in the original film, shows up thinking he's doing a quick cameo. 10 minutes, easy money. But when he arrives on set, he realizes Mel Brooks has recreated the entire chest burster scene, complete with a singing, dancing alien. Hurt got paid $2,000 for a scene worth millions. And then there's John Candy, strapped into a 30-pound battery pack, controlled by 3 different people, sweating through makeup for 3 hours every morning. And in the middle of all that chaos, he improvises the line that defines his entire character. I'm my own best friend. Here are 30 weird facts about Spaceballs you didn't know, and they're stranger than the movie itself. But before we jump in, drop a comment and tell us, are you Team Ludicrous Speed or Team Plaid? Stick around because we got a bonus fact at the very end that even the biggest fans miss. Fact 1. The scene where Dark Helmet plays with dolls was never in the script. Mel Brooks came up with the idea on set one day and simply told Rick Moranis to play with himself in the most PG way possible. Moranis improvised the entire thing. Every line, every joke. The iconic, "your helmet is so big" moment was pure spontaneous genius. Moranis later revealed he wasn't even feeling well that day, but somehow delivered one of the film's most quotable scenes. Brooks kept the cameras rolling and captured comedy gold. The dolls became instant cult objects and the scene became legendary, all because a director had a wild idea and an actor ran with it. Oh, your helmet is so big. Our helmet needed on the bridge, sir. Knock on my door. Knock next time. Yes, sir. Fact 2. John Hurt thought he was doing Mel Brooks a quick favor. A walk-on cameo. 5 minutes tops. Easy paycheck. But when Hurt arrived on the Spaceball set, he realized Brooks had fully recreated the infamous alien chest burster scene, the whole setup, multiple camera angles, full effects team. Hurt had to relive the most horrifying moment of his career. Except this time, the alien bursts out singing "Hello My Baby" with a top hat and cane. Hurt's reaction line, "Oh no, not again," became one of the film's most memorable moments. And the kicker, he got paid just $2,000 and a hotel room for a scene that became worth millions. Brooks later admitted he might have undersold how elaborate the whole thing would be. Oh no, not again. Fact 3. John Candy didn't just deliver lines, he created them. When Lone Star's flying RV crash lands in the desert, Candy delivered the perfect introduction. I'm a Mog, half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend. The line wasn't in the script. Candy just felt it in the moment and said it. The entire crew burst out laughing. Brooks loved it so much he kept it in. The line became Barf's defining characteristic and one of the most quoted moments in the film. Chris Farley later borrowed this style of self-deprecating humor for his role in Tommy Boy. Candy's improvisation set the tone for the entire character, lovable, goofy, and completely aware of his own absurdity. Barf, what are you? I'm a Mog. Half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend. Fact 4. Look closely at the parking lot outside the Space Diner right before John Hurt's scene. Parked among random spaceships sits the Millennium Falcon, Han Solo's ship, just casually hanging out. It's one of cinema's greatest Easter eggs, and most viewers completely miss it. Mel Brooks added it as a love letter to George Lucas and Star Wars. The cameo was Brooks's way of saying, "We're poking fun, but we're fans." Lucas approved the Easter egg, finding it hilarious. It also sparked fan theories that both movies exist in the same universe. The Falcon stayed in the final cut, and eagle-eyed fans have been spotting it for decades. It's become a legendary treasure hunt moment for viewers. Fact 5. George Lucas gave Mel Brooks permission to parody Star Wars on one condition. Absolutely no Spaceballs merchandise. Lucas's lawyers argued it would be unfair to create toys that looked like Star Wars characters. Brooks agreed, but then he turned that restriction into the film's most meta joke. The entire merchandising scene where yogurt shows off Spaceballs, flamethrowers, toilet paper, and breakfast cereal became a savage satire of Lucas's own merchandising empire. The irony? None of those products were ever actually made. Brooks kept his promise, but made sure everyone knew exactly what he was giving up. Lucas reportedly loved the joke, and the scene became one of the most celebrated moments in the film. They put the picture's name on everything. Merchandising. Merchandising. Where the real money from the movie is made. Fact 6. Need proof Spaceballs was made on a tight budget? Watch Dark Helmet's desert speeder closely, the one that's supposed to be hovering over the sand. Look underneath. There's a massive pane of glass balancing the entire thing. It's completely visible if you know where to look. The production used the glass trick to create the floating illusion without expensive effects. Decades later, most viewers still don't notice. It's hidden in plain sight. The cost-saving measure worked so well that the scene became iconic anyway. Film students now use it as an example of creative problem-solving. Sometimes the cheapest solution is the best one, especially when your audience is too busy laughing to notice. Fact 7. Michael Winslow, the human sound effects machine from Police Academy, saved the production over $1,000 with a 30-second cameo. When Rick Moranis' Dark Helmet barks, "I've lost the bleeps, the sweeps, and the creeps," Winslow creates every single radar sound with his mouth. No artificial effects, no expensive post-production, just Winslow doing what he does best. The production would have spent over $1,000 creating those sounds electronically. Winslow delivered them for free in one take. His appearance became one of the film's most memorable moments, and fans still quote the bleeps, sweeps, and creeps line decades later. Sometimes the most creative solution is also the most cost-effective. The bleeps, the sweeps, and the creeps. Laughter. Fact 8. After Spaceballs premiered, George Lucas sent Mel Brooks a handwritten letter saying he thought he was going to bust something from laughing so hard. Coming from the man who created Star Wars, the franchise Brooks spent 90 minutes ruthlessly mocking. That's the ultimate seal of approval. Lucas didn't just tolerate the parody, he loved it. He even told Brooks that if he'd made Spaceballs as a serious adventure film, it would have succeeded as a great movie. Lucas praised the film structure, pacing, and heart. For Brooks, that letter became one of his most treasured possessions. Getting roasted by the best and earning their approval, that's the dream. Fact 9. Let's talk about John Hurt's paycheck. $2,000. That's it, plus a nice hotel room, for one of the film's most iconic scenes. A scene recreating his most famous moment from Alien. A scene that required a full effects crew, multiple camera setups, and hours of shooting. Brooks later joked about how he convinced Hurt to show up. "Come on over, John. We'll put you in a nice hotel, give you a couple of grand." Hurt realized too late he'd been involved in something worth millions. But he never expressed bitterness. He loved working with Brooks. And honestly, that scene made him immortal in 2 franchises. Sometimes the best payment isn't money, it's legacy. Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal. Music. Fact 10. Elon Musk grew up watching Spaceballs, and when it came time to name Tesla's fastest acceleration mode, he didn't think twice. In July 2015, Musk unveiled Ludicrous Mode, a direct homage to the film. The feature came with a full-screen animation mimicking the movie's iconic jump to light speed. Stars rush forward. The screen goes white. It's pure Spaceballs nostalgia. Musk later added Plaid Mode, the speed beyond ludicrous from the film. Tesla owners can literally experience the movie's most famous joke every time they floor the accelerator. It's proof that Spaceballs didn't just influence comedy, it influenced technology. And yes, Musk has openly called it one of his favorite childhood films. Raspberry. There's only one man who would dare give me the raspberry. Lone Star. Fact 11. Tesla's Spaceballs Easter egg goes deeper than just the name. When you activate Ludicrous Mode by holding the button, a Starfield animation zooms forward across the touchscreen, exactly like the movie. In later software updates, Tesla added even more. A warning pops up asking if you're sure you want to push the limits. Two buttons appear. A blue one says, "No, I want my mommy." A red one declares, "Yes, bring it on." It's a Matrix reference layered on top of a Spaceballs reference. Musk has embedded the movie's DNA into millions of cars. Every Tesla owner with ludicrous mode experiences a miniature Spaceballs moment. Not bad for a 1987 parody film. What the hell was that? Spaceball 1. They've gone to plaid. Fact 12. Before Goosebumps, before Fear Street, before becoming a household name in horror for kids, R.L. Stine wrote the Spaceballs novelization. Published under his pen name Jovial Bob Stine in 1987, the book was a sanitized, kid-friendly version of the film with all profanity removed and adult humor toned down. Stine was still hustling, writing joke books and movie tie-ins to pay the bills. He'd go on to sell over 400 million Goosebumps books, but back then, he was just a writer taking any gig he could get. The Spaceballs novelization is now a collector's item, representing Stine before he became a legend. Fact 13. The Pizza the Hut costume looked disgusting on screen. Mission accomplished. But wearing it was a nightmare. The suit was constructed from pancake batter and rotisserie chicken skin, not real cheese, but close enough to look revolting. Actor Richard Caron suffered through scalding heat and miserable conditions for the initial shoot, but when Mel Brooks called him back for reshoots, Caron flat out refused. He'd had enough. Brooks needed someone desperate. Enter effects artist Rick Lazzarini, who volunteered to take over. Lazzarini suited up and finished the Pizza the Hut scenes. The result was one of the film's most memorable villains and one actor who never wanted to see pancake batter again. Where's my money? Don't worry, Pizza. You'll have it by next week. Oh no, I got to have it by tomorrow. Fact 14. John Candy's barf costume wasn't just a suit. It was an engineering project. A 30-pound battery strapped to Candy's back powered the entire operation. Candy controlled Barf's tail using a hidden mechanism in his paw. Two assistants stood off camera controlling the ears, one person per ear. Candy spent nearly 3 hours in the makeup chair every single morning before filming. The suit was hot, heavy, and uncomfortable, and Candy wore it for weeks. At one point, Mel Brooks had to tell the effects crew to stop moving the ears so much because they were too distracting in scenes. Despite all the technical chaos, Candy remained completely professional. He never complained. He just kept delivering the performance. Fact 15. Mel Brooks didn't just direct Spaceballs. He played 2 roles, and one of them nearly killed him. The gold-colored yogurt makeup gave Brooks a terrible allergic rash across his face and neck. It was so bad that most of yogurt scenes had to be shot out of sequence just to give Brooks's skin time to recover between takes. And because yogurt is a tiny character, Brooks had to walk around on his knees for hours, even with knee pads, leaving him in constant agony. The makeup stung, his skin burned, but Brooks powered through. He later said that despite the suffering, playing yogurt was worth every painful moment. The character became iconic, and Brooks's dedication shows in every frame. Fact 16. Loren Jarnell was a professional mime hired to physically wear the Matrix costume, while Joan Rivers would voice the character later in a nice air-conditioned studio. But Jarnell filmed in the Yuma Desert in Arizona in October 1986. The production was hoping for cooler fall temperatures. Instead, they got record-breaking heat, the highest in the country at the time. Jarnell was trapped inside a metal costume in 100-degree weather. Co-star Daphne Zuniga recalled they had to keep opening the mask so she could breathe. She was dripping with sweat and lost so much weight. Jarnell survived the shoot, barely, and she remains one of the film's unsung heroes. Bonus fact. Of all the jokes in Spaceballs, Mel Brooks says 2 make him the proudest. First, the running merchandising gag. Spaceballs the breakfast cereal. Spaceballs the flamethrower. The entire joke was born from George Lucas banning actual merchandise, and Brooks turned that restriction into the film's most savage satire. Second, the scene where the characters rent the VHS tape of Spaceballs while the movie is still being filmed. It's the ultimate meta moment. The characters watch themselves in the movie they're currently making. These 2 jokes represent everything Spaceballs stands for: self-aware, absurd, and unapologetically weird. And decades later, Fans still quote them religiously. It started as a gamble, a parody that came too late, a budget that was too big, a cast that suffered through allergic reactions, desert heat, and 30 pounds battery packs. But somehow, all that chaos became a masterpiece. Spaceballs proved that the best comedies come from controlled disasters, from improvisation, from directors who aren't afraid to make themselves the joke. If you're into weird movie secrets and chaotic Hollywood history, hit that subscribe button. We've got more stories like this coming your way. Drop a comment telling us, what's your favorite Spaceballs moment? May the Schwartz be with you.